I'm going to give you the top 5 pros and cons of living here in my beautiful city. So I'm going to start with the positive. So my number one pro, of course, is that it's beautiful here in Sedona, and just about every home here has a view. And if it doesn't have a view, just go outside and walk a block away or get in your car and drive, and you are bound to see a view of the beautiful Red Rock Mountains or Oak Creek and the beautiful oak trees, just everywhere you look. So that is definitely an advantage of living here. Number two pro for living in Sedona is there's just a lot to do here. There are many hiking trails so that you can go hiking, and at any level, if you're a little out of shape like me, for instance, there's the easy trails, and then you've got the really hard trail. I see people scaling the mountain. I'm like, you crazy, but there's something there for every level. There's also, you could go on a guided Jeep tour, you could tour the vortex, and you can go shopping galore, stick your feet in Oak Creek and just enjoy the cool breeze. So lots of stuff to do all the time. Every night of the week you could find something different. My number three is that Sedona here is a really good place for entrepreneurs to start a new business. There are 2 to 4 million tourists that come here every year, and they are hungry for things to do, for information, and they're willing to spend. So if you could put together some type of a tour of the sites, a tour of the vortices, a tour of anything, and then maybe publish a book or a DVD video to go along with it, you could probably do very well here. The other thing is, if you work remotely, you can start a business here, and your other people that work for you can live anywhere in the country or the world. I do know people that do that, and they have employees that live over in Europe. So a great place for entrepreneurs. Number four is the great weather. We are at 4,000 foot elevation, but let me rephrase that. I myself live in the village of Oak Creek, which is one of the unincorporated areas of Sedona. So I'm at 4,000 foot elevation, but if you go towards uptown Sedona, it's about 4,500 foot elevation. So my friends in Phoenix today, we're in the middle of June, they're going to be like 107 degrees, which is actually a little bit cool for Phoenix. But here in Sedona, it will be about 90 degrees. So, and it gets a little hotter, but not much hotter than that. And the nice thing is, by the end of the day, by 6, you can go out in your patio, sit out with a cocktail, and there's a nice breeze blowing, and you won't be uncomfortable at all. In fact, I sleep with the windows open at night because it'll get down to like 69, and then you wake up and the house is cool, and it's really nice. So the weather is good, and in the wintertime it's not all that cold. It does get cold, but there are not a lot of days where it's below freezing, so it's not bad at all. And then my number 5 pro to living in Sedona is there's a lot of very unique shopping, restaurants, and hotel motels. So lots of little shops that you find anywhere else, like crystal shops, unique little clothing shops, bookstores that you don't see very much. There's a really cute motel over between Uptown Sedona and Slide Rock. That's your little motel right on the creek. It's so cute. A lot of little reeky places. Restaurants that you won't find anywhere else. So again, the unique things to do and places to shop make it a really fun place to live. Now, with every pro, there is a con, and so let me give you the list of the negatives. So the very first thing is the property prices, and the cost of living is higher there than other parts of the state. So I'm going to give you my personal example. I moved here 2 years ago, and I rented a duplex for a year to see if I liked it, and I did. The rent wasn't bad, but I sold my house in Phoenix. I had a cute little house in a nice suburb of Ahwatukee, 3-bed, 3-bath, 1,550 square feet, nice lot. I sold that for $290,000, and then bought one 2 months later here in the village, about the same size, 1,600 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, nice quarter-acre lot. and I paid $395,000. So that's $105,000 more for just about the same size property. Now, of course, what you have going here is that you've got, I look out my back window and there's a beautiful view. And of course, I'm here in Sedona. So I think it's worth it, but that's just something to note, that the cost of living is higher. The other thing is your groceries a little higher, mostly because they will have higher quality meats here. They don't have a lot of the lower quality fatty foods. So you'll pay a little more for groceries, about the same for gas and other things. Not horribly bad, but again, about 35% higher than the rest of the state. The other thing is there are very few high-tech jobs here. So like if you're a high-tech worker, you're a programmer, a DBA, a network security guy, there are not shops here where you go in and you work all day. So you won't go into American Express, Intel, PayPal, nothing like that here. Now, of course, if you can work remotely for one of those companies and live here, that's great, but there are no big high-tech, high-paying companies here. You know, there's the hotels, but no high-tech jobs here in Sedona. Another thing, number 4, this is definitely a con to living here, is if you live in a lot of places, you could get stuck next to an Airbnb property because a lot of investors have them here. They might rent them out every single week. You could have a different people living next to you, and on the weekends they might, you know, they're here on vacation, they might be up late partying and they might disturb you. Of course, if you do your research before you buy, we can keep that from happening. A lot of the subdivisions don't allow it, but if you're not careful, that could happen. And of course, number 3, I skipped 3 and went to 4. 3 is that it's crowded on the weekend and there's a lot of traffic. Not just the weekend, but the high seasons like October, November, March and April. A lot of tourists here. There'll be a lot of traffic on the road. It might take you twice as long. It takes me about 20 minutes to get to West Sedona. It might take you twice that to get there on the weekend, and you might have a hard time getting a table at a restaurant, and definitely a hard time finding parking spaces in the heavy touristy areas. So that's just something, you know, can you live with the crowdedness on the weekend? But, you know, the homes, like my home is 2 blocks off the 179, and I never hear the 179, and there are not a lot of people driving around. So it's nice and peaceful. You just have to know on the weekend, if you want to go out, it's going to be crowded. One more con, which might sound silly, but there's not a really great high-speed internet provider here. So I know my neighbors say they have Suddenlink, which is a DSL provider. It's probably better than what I have. I have HughesNet, which is good, but it's a satellite. So sounds weird, but if it's cloudy and stormy, it'll slow down, and if there's a billion tourists here, it will slow down, and sometimes it takes me a long time to upload files. Like this video could take me a while, but it's still worth it. Not like Cox Internet home in Phoenix, so you won't get any of that here. And here's the number 6. I added a bonus, number 6, cons. This is something you have to be concerned about. If you have small pets, small dogs, a cat, I even have a parrot, I have a pug and a poodle, you have to be careful letting them out in your yard because there are predatory animals here. We have got coyotes, bobcats, and javelina. Now, the javelina really aren't predators, but you know how dogs are. Once I was looking out the back window, and there was a huge javelina in the yard, and the neighbor's dog went and just charged the javelina. Javelina, one bite, dog needed 140 stitches, expensive trip to the hospital, and had to wear the cone of shame for at least 4 days. So again, watch out for predators. Sometimes they'll just go through the yard like there's no fence there. As long as you're careful, it's okay, but you can't just let them in and out on their own through the dog door if you're not going to be home for a while. So that is it. My name is Dawn Dickenson. I live here in Sedona, the village of Oak Creek. I sell real estate here. I also sell in the neighboring Verde Valley, which would be Cottonwood, Rimrock, Cornville. If you have any questions about, you know, living here in Northern Arizona or real estate or anything like that, feel free to post a comment below or even send me a text or an email. My information, my contact information is down there. And if you like this video, please do me a favor and give me a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe. I post this type of content every single week about things involving Northern Arizona, real estate in general, but mostly Northern Arizona. So I post something next Thursday. I hope I will see you then.